So, once again, we experienced technical difficulties, but we're back. I
In
believe
pub
we're just
form.
in what? In POG form? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's
It's my
very funny.
the one Simpsons quote that's lived in my head rent free is where Milhouse goes, "It's Alf. He's back in pog form." And so I just always
It's
think of
stuck
that.
there.
As someone who
Yeah.
also made things into pogs as a
Oh, same.
kid,
I had a POG
I had the
maker.
yeah, thank you.
I
Love
had the
that.
Pog Maker.
Uh,
I'm 30 or 40 years old too. I had a Pog Maker. But we were talking about our sort of like general year in review. You had talked about dodgeball. In our second recording, already talked about going to Puerto Rico and how incredible it was. And it reminded me what unbridled joy felt like. And I perhaps am not going to go into the depths of how the emotional work I've done in therapy has brought me to some really bad places, but also brought me to some very good places, which is why overall I think 2024 was a pretty good year, other than the fact that our entire country agreed that we suck and are selfish. So that is not my favorite. But other
could
than
be
that,
better.
yeah. Coincidentally enough, like 2016 was one of the best years of my life. Like I got married. It was a great year other than the start of the downfall of our democratic society. I mean, not that it really has ever been truly democratic, but anyways. So let's get into the pop culture of it all. Um should we maybe start with the nerd stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, I think a great, like, as we think about what really made this past year special, we wanted
Yeah.
to look back at some of our past guest hosts for this year, and we asked them what their favorite nerd moments were. And so let's start with Hector. And
Hmm.
so they had said it came out at the end of 2023, but Baldur's Gate coming out and getting to nerd out in a D&D way without having to wait for the scheduling gods to plan a session. And that's fair because there was
Yes,
a lot of
absolutely.
scheduling God to have it. Not as many D&D sessions as we wanted to, especially by the end of the year. But I think being able to find that easy community over video games is going to be a real theme.
Oh, for
And
sure. And I mean, that's a good. I'm gonna like pick up Ryan's,
yeah,
which is along the same lines. Snacks. I used to dream about spending an evening gaming online with my friends. Since I was a kid, I mostly played one-player games, but I never really had a system that had the capability to game online with friends. Now with Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, Fortnite, and Marvel Rivals, I do it almost every day, and it all basically happened this year. I mean, you know, I never thought I would be a person that like not only chooses to stay home and play video games, like stays up too late playing video games and has opinions on video games. Like I've always liked them, I've always enjoyed them, but I was never a gamer. Like we talked about earlier, like our paths diverted at me stopping that and getting into theater. And I it's like my favorite. It's so much
it's too
fun.
much fun. And it's
All we
been a
do is
really
talk
great
shit
year
to
for
each
video
other and
games.
giggle. It has been a great fucking year for video games. Let's talk
You know,
about Fortnite.
Fortnite has been. I never expected to
I know,
find Fortnite as a game. In my life, I was just like, oh, I like never really got into the battle royale format. Like,
right?
and I would play it. I don't want to say begrudgingly, but I would never be like when, friends who now I'm playing Marvel Rivals with, when Chad and Anho would play Apex, I'd be like, I'm okay. Because like it
Yeah,
just didn't really speak to me.
yeah,
But I've loved Fortnite. All of the dances, picking your
yeah.
character, all
It's
of those
so
little
fucking
details are
fun.
so much fun, and it is a very the pickup and playness of it, I think,
Hmm.
speaks to its staying power, and it's been so much fun to have that community. And like, because I think video games are like, I've always been an online gamer. Like going
Right?
back to like at my college, we would connect our Xboxes into the Ethernet, and you could LAN with the school. And
Yeah.
so like I started
Oh
like
yeah, you
joined the
shared
video game club.
yeah, you
Yeah,
shared that on a
that
previous
was the
episode,
right, and so
which
that was
is
always important to
also
me.
kind of funny because I think we also talked about it on that same episode. Saying something like, "I wonder how long this will stick for," like the Fortnite of it all. And it definitely lost its sheen a little bit for at least like I know Uxie kind of was over it. It is, it's fun when it's fun, but then like the chapter ended or the season ended or whatever, and it did that weird rewind one. Now they're back to some fun shit, and I have low key been trying to get everyone to play Fortnite, like to take a break from fucking Marvel Rivals and play a little bit of Fortnite.
Look,
And I
she's
will
the new
literally
girl in
say
town.
she's the new girl in town. I will literally say, "Do you guys want to get in a couple rounds of Fortnite?" And it's silent, and then it no one makes a sound, and I say, "Okay, then we can just keep playing this." Like no one takes it,
Uh,
no one wants it.
You know what? That was just the one. The I took it the other. I've taken it
You
before, but
did, you
that
did, you
night I
did.
was. That night though, I was just like, because we've been really enjoying Marvel Rivals. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's been our current. Like, have you been? How have your thoughts been? Because this is a real new genre for you, and like,
Yes.
I've been wanting to kind of talk about your experiences with it.
It's
So wait, for
it's
those
a
who are, let's just let me
yes.
level set. For those who aren't
Please,
aware,
please,
Marvel
please.
Rivals is a team-based hero shooter. So if you've ever seen or played Overwatch, it's very much Overwatch but with Marvel characters. Literally,
Yes.
the abilities overlap, and I was a big Overwatch girly. Like that was like
Hmm.
my game. I like dressed up as Tracer to go to Comic Con. That's where I met Charisma Carpenter wearing a Overwatch cosplay was
Oh my
that so
god.
that was the like I loved Overwatch. It was
Didn't you I
it's
think you've told me that story. Didn't she say like, "Who are you?" and you told her and she was like, "I don't know who that is, but you look great."
yeah, she was just like she like genuinely asked me and wanted to know about my character. I thought that was such a
Yeah.
cool like things you don't have to do. Shout out to Chris
Yeah.
McCartney for just being a
Yeah.
wonderful like she was delightful.
I hope her politics have evolved because she was saying some pretty dumb Zionist shit
Oh
last
goodness.
year. I know. I actually had
Dang
to
it.
unfollow her. I had to
No,
unfollow her.
that's I'm
I
no like
know.
it's like finding out Jason Lee's a Scientologist or like and that
Oh,
like
he
y-
is?
yeah, like the former skater. Yeah, like it's just one of those like but you know what? Kevin Smith's amazing. Shout out to Kevin
Kevin
Smith.
Smith, keep it up. Kevin Smith, keep it
And
up.
Ben Affleck, surprising.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Fuck it up, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, always like but I was like, you know what? I appreciate that
And
kind
you
of like
know what? It's sorry, I didn't mean to get so pointed. Um, but let's one of the things that's on the like pop culture list of things I was like, trying to figure out, what types of things we wanted to talk about. Um, was Benifer getting back together. I was very pro that. I felt like we all kind of watched that like Ben Affleck was clearly unhappy after like he turned into a meme after, they broke up. Like he clearly it seemed like oh my god, yay, they're getting back together. Like they took so much time apart. Like this is probably for the best. And they were in love with each other. They seemed like they were. And this time around, one of the movies that Ryan reminded us that we watched was J Lo's fucking Amazon Prime self-indulgent, narcissistic ass "I'm in love" movie that came out suspiciously close to Beyonce and Taylor Swift's movies. But this was an actual, it was more along the lines of like Lemonade, where it was more of like a visual album than a movie.
mhm.
Um, but, we got wicked high and watched it, and it was fun if you didn't take it seriously. But the gag is she took it super seriously. Like, it, and then they're divorced again, which makes me be like, okay, maybe it's you, Jen. Maybe you suck. Maybe the more we learn about you and how much you suck, maybe you suck. You didn't
I
deserve Ben
watched
Affleck, which
Estelle
is
because
not.
of you.
Right. Hello, I. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Were you an
Mhm.
AMTM person? America's Next Top Model.
No, I wasn't. I
Okay,
the see those were all the things like and again, this is one of those
that
where
was
like
girl stuff.
girl stuff and like where it like Dara would always participate in that and then would be like and then I would be like always like wistfully like looking on and like it
Yeah, well, that would be
would have
fun
been
to
happier if we switched
criticize women's
places.
bodies in like a
Yeah, like just,
violent way. The
yeah, that
whole
that was really
premise
cool.
of
Like, yeah.
yeah, like the episode, the worst and best episode was always the makeover episode because they would take all of the
Mm.
agency away from these women and like change things about like I remember I think they shaved a black woman's head or something,
Oh, I
or
do. I remember
they
seeing
did something that was like, I mean, one, Tyra Banks, you know, black trailblazer, but also participated in a lot of violently anti-black shit, and led a lot of violently anti-black shit. But um,
Well, isn't
like
that
it
part of
was,
the way that puts often ends up using,
oh yeah,
like, as vehicle,
the
and I think
master's
that's such
tools.
a yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but, like, just
yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah. But I
the
mean, I literally just mentioned that to somebody the other day. Like,
yeah,
you can't climb to positions of power and seem it seems like because so many people have shown us that you can't climb positions of power without losing your fucking mind and like subscribing to the same ideology that keeps people oppressed. Like you were one of the premier black supermodels, and then you screamed at a black girl who had an quote unquote attitude on national television and made her a fucking like a generational meme. Granted, it was more everyone was kind of making fun of Tyra because her behavior was fucking wild. I watched that season in real time.
no
Um,
kidding.
but yeah, I was an ANTM girl.
Yeah,
But
because
like
I'm
it was,
assuming, and I didn't know this, but I'm assuming that's
yeah,
where the "we were rooting for you, we were all rooting for
yeah,
you" meme
that's
comes from.
OG
Where
Tyra
is the
Banks,
yeah, is that
pre-viral
like
viral.
yeah,
She was
yeah,
yelling at a
okay.
black girl who had like, I mean, let us not forget like no one really won America's Next Top Model. Everyone just got worse, like eating disorders and like body dysmorphia, and like they really did a number on those cast members. And I don't mean to, discredit the work of models or how hard these whatever. I don't mean to. I'm more critiquing the show. However, this girl had she had like a little bit of an attitude, but she had a right to have an attitude. She's being critiqued by like four strangers saying mean things to her. Ultimately, they were sending her home. Like she was getting sent home. She lost. Like that it was an elimination, and she had feelings. And um, after she said goodbye to all the girls, Tyra called her back to the carpet um, and started to scold her for like being quote unappreciative. And then it turned into her kind of trying to like stand up for herself and contextualize, like it's been very hard for me. Like I don't remember all the context of it, but she interrupted her and she was like, everybody's been through stuff. Like it's just fucking wild. It's just fucking wild. And once again, we have gone off the goddamn rails. I'm talking about Tyra
Yeah.
Banks.
You know,
Shauna,
yeah,
it's your
so as
fault.
we were saying, video games are a great communal like,
Are a
the
great
TLDR of
equalizer.
it, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
no,
we've
but, like,
gotten through
but that community aspect and, like oh, we were talking
mhm,
about your experience with,
with
Marvel
Marvel Rivals.
Rivals was
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
obviously, which is
Wow.
obviously how we got to America's Next
Next
Top
time,
Model,
Tyra
obviously.
Banks
Yeah,
anti-blackness.
as you
Yes.
can obviously see the
A
segue
normal
there.
thread.
Yep.
Normal thread. I'm actually gonna clip out that entire middle section so it just goes
So it's not going to be
video games,
Charlie from It's
Tyra
Always
Banks,
Sunny,
video
like,
games.
pointing, like
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, it was never my style of game. I mean, in general, like shooting games were never my thing. I was always kind of like I liked
Yeah.
video games, I liked platforming games, I like RPGs. Um, but that type of like, aim and shoot thing always was very intimidating to me. And it just never seemed like something I would be good at. And then it didn't help that like, when you join those games and you're playing online, you're playing against people who are often very good at those games. So sometimes it just feels like you can't even get a second to practice because
Oh,
you're getting your ass beat every time you step out of the fucking spawn zone. Like
so true.
I had like I think yesterday I was feeling really fucking discouraged just playing it,
Mm.
but like, it's you kind of get over it. Like it's You
Some
know you
days
have a bad
are gonna be
game.
where it's just not
Yeah.
like the other team is and that's where I love the chess match of it all of like, oh, there's so
Mhm.
many different possibilities and so many different
Mhm.
things you can do, they can do, and you can do that. Like that, it very much it's like dodgeball for me. Like it feels very
Yes.
similar in that kind of way, and why both kind of sports speak to me in a lot of
Yeah.
but yeah, so but like I love and and
Things
I
I
know
thought
it's
that I
something
would
that
not be good at that I am actually good at. Video
right,
games and
absolutely,
dodgeball.
and, like, your video game play is so jumped, and, like,
Yes,
and
thank
I
you.
think it doesn't help it I think it's the best and worst thing too that Stacks and I are both very good at the
Right.
things we do, and we're both
You're,
very good,
like,
so
really crazy good. Ryan is very good, and I know, like, when he listens to this, he will get his feelings hurt, so shut the fuck up. I'm not talking badly about you, I'm talking nicely about Shauna. You're, like, insane. Like, you get MVP at least twice. If we play 4 or 5 rounds, you're getting MVP at least twice, even in games we lose. Like, you're very, very good at these games.
thank you, and Ye and yeah, and that's where my life experience of
Right.
having played first person shooters going back to GoldenEye and the N64
Yes. A
and
game I was
the
intimidated by.
see, and that was where those were the ways in which I learned to speak the language of straight boys, and
Yeah. Same.
that was how I got along and, like, coped and got was able to kind of find my way in was through those games, and so being and luckily being good at them and kind of naturally inclined really helped me, you know, get the setup,
Figure it
also helped
out.
me figure it out, but also helped me then help extend to others and kind of can then open I always try to open the doors for others, and that's
Yeah.
where, like, because I don't like being, elitist about it, because I think there's a lot of elitism in video games and
Yeah.
in skill, and that's never really been my perspective or MO, so that's where I always really try to always, like, help and, get those around me to be better and help find those like things that can help put them in positions of success too.
I just sighed because, like, again, once again, it's an allegory for how we're all just trying to find the things that were not granted to us. Like,
Mhm,
I like being in sort of like a coach captain capacity. I don't really like captaining the logistics of it. I have
mm,
to do too much of that outside of, rec sports. I like to just show up, be enthusiastic and a coach, but I don't want to captain. Which is why you and I, again, we've said work well as a co-captain situation. But um, these games are fun, and everyone should have the right to fucking play them. And growing up in those spaces that were so hyper masculine, violently hyper masculine, and not feeling comfortable, I already felt like everyone was like judging me, critiquing me, and then add on the fact that they were because I wasn't necessarily great at it because I'm 6'2" and I've been 6'2" since I was fucking 14. Like, it took a while for me to figure out what my limbs did because I was too busy doing theater. Like that, I only learned, spatial awareness through dance. Like that was what taking dance classes.
mhm.
Anyways, I'm not going to get sidetracked. Um, Backstep, dance, backstep, sports. It's why I like coaching because, like, compassion and enthusiasm are all you need to be a good teammate and a good coach. You just need to be compassionate and patient, like, and enthusiastic. Like, the patience wanes, and if you are coaching someone who is coachable, they will also understand that sometimes people lose their patience and we're humans. But that when you find like the person that takes you in and is like, you can be good at this, like you just need the right person. For me that was Stonewall, which is why it's also so devastating that it is not what I want it to be anymore.
It's and I
But
think that's
for
where
video
having
games, it's the
trying to
two of
find
you.
those yeah, and, like, trying to find those experiences and trying to find those connections and, like, wanting to
Yeah.
like, because again, like, I think it's because I never felt like I've never been especially, like, strong or, like, was never looked at as being like, "Oh, that one's good at athletics. Like, was never really pointed in my direction from childhood, like, and it was
Meanwhile,
always like,
everyone told me I was supposed to be good at
right,
sports my
right. Oh yeah, no, it
entire
was like,
life.
well, like I will always remember, like when talking about, my athletic ability, my dad said that I was good at school. And like that, like, is like just like change the subject. But that was always but yet I played tennis year round and ended up making like the JV tennis team at my like, you know, nice like Catholic school. And like the tennis,
Yeah,
that's not nothing.
it's not
Like,
nothing. Yeah, it turns out I'm capable of things. Um,
absolutely. But yeah, so community. And so
yes,
and speaking of which, our other like the other we'd also asked Kelly and Uxie, and they both pointed to Agatha All Along. And
right.
Kelly really enjoyed getting to watch Agatha All Along and talk about and make theories about, which is again something that I really enjoyed, that we all really enjoyed watching, getting to kind of theorize together. I thought was such a really great part, and like where I love a zeitgeist show. And I
Yeah,
thought
same.
that
Everyone's talking about it.
and
Well, not
even if it's not
actually.
everybody, like, it doesn't need to
Yeah.
be everybody, but having it at least be the, like, people in my life are all watching it with the same
Yes.
zeal as me, and
Yes.
Uxie got to see his all-time favorite comic book character, Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan, come to life and get the glow up he deserves. And I
Yes.
think that getting the glow up he deserves is such a wonderful sentiment. And I think
Absolutely.
it's such a beautiful part of, getting to see these characters. Like, that's the best feeling when your property gets adapted into a different,
Yes.
avenue, is
Correctly
seeing it
or
like,
well.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like, it's one thing when you're like, I guess, what, a leather suit does make sense for Daredevil. He would be Ben Affleck.
Right.
That's
Right.
cool.
Sure.
But
This
Ben
is
Affleck was
fun.
also a Daredevil fan and a nerd. So you know what, can't knock
Yes.
him too much for it. So I do,
Yes.
with the weird Colin Farrell bullseye carved in because they didn't trust that they could do the comic accurate. Will always want a better bullseye.
Yeah.
But we did get to see Jennifer Garner
As
reprise her role as
Elektra,
Elektra, speaking of which. That was a great part of
agreed.
2024.
I will quick backstep to Agatha. Our other one of our other guests, Chris, also named Agatha as one of the best parts of the nerd year. Um, yeah, I really was never like a huge Young Avengers person. Like I knew who Wiccan was. I've read Young Avengers. I've read a lot of the crucial stories of the Young Avengers. Just not so much anymore. But you know, oh, I'm 35. Oh my god, something just popped just for no reason because I reached down. Like
Yep.
fuck. Um, yeah, I was never it was never Wiccan, it was always Wanda for me. And
Mm.
it like again, when you get to see people experience something they love and like I didn't really care that much about seeing Wiccan from like oh my god, like this is my favorite character. It's cool to see him on screen, but like to see your favorite and to see it done well, like it just made me so happy when we got to experience him seeing Wiccan in costume for the first time, and it was just like, yeah, that's what lifelong memories are of. Like we will tease him for the rest of his life for the fact that he nearly teared up seeing Wiccan come on streaming for the first time. Like, you fucking homosexual. That's why we love you,
Uh,
Jamal.
I do wonder.
So
No, this
yes,
is just
please.
making me wonder if pure chaos was ever uttered. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
I wonder. It was not. You weren't on. He came. It was not. He said
Fuck.
no. He said he thought about it, but he's
You know what?
James hasn't
I call
watched
it
him
a,
play enough. Yeah, James
oh my
hasn't
God.
watched him play Marvel's Rivals enough
Okay, that's clearly the moment. Okay, that'll
yeah,
be to encourage him to play more solely for that. So okay,
for that. Like,
yeah,
I can't wait to find the right person to scream pure chaos with. Um,
it's gonna be pure chaos.
yeah. So, Marvel Rivals in general has just been really fun to see all these characters get to, get some justice. Not some justice. It's just
Yeah.
this is such a different game than anything we've ever had with Marvel. Like you either got some, kind of cool RPG or uh like a platform. There's just never been this sort of like online component, at least that I can think
Yeah,
of.
where there's no this like PvP like
Yeah.
element game where and
Where you get
like
to make a character yours. Like, who are your
yeah,
mains right now?
my mains are Cloak and Dagger.
Hmm.
I've loved playing as them. I love the attack and defense switch, and like I can
Yeah.
really take advantage of that a lot of times. So I think
Hmm.
that's the support. As for tanks, Thor and Hulk are my two go-tos. I
Yeah.
think they're both
Yeah.
pretty aggressive, and I really like being able to kind of get in there. I think Thor's a little overpowered, like because I think that like he can just take
And
out a
yet I
people
can't
in like
stop
two
dying
or
when
three
I'm him.
hits.
I'm so
Okay, but
bad with
that's where
him.
we're gonna need. I'll be Hulk and then give you the like. I think a little bit of shielding. I think that's the
Hmm.
trick. And
Yeah.
then as for DPS, I love being Punisher, especially when
What's
Snacks
DPS?
is that is damage per second, which is an old
Also known
term,
as a
but basically it's the
duelist.
yeah, a duelist in the nomenclature of rivals, but the damage
Right.
character. Because there's the three big classes are always support, so your healers, or sometimes they'll do different things like give like speed boosts or whatnot. All more your and then your tanks who are just gonna soak up your damage, just gonna
Right.
take up
And
space
hopefully do a
and
bunch of damage.
yeah, and let give your DPS, your damage characters, room to operate and to then deal their damage without having people be focusing on them. Because that's
Right.
where the tank wants to be making problems, so that way your DPS can cause problems. Is the way,
Right.
and then your support
Wow,
fixes it
that's a
all.
really helpful way of thinking about it.
Yeah,
Because it definitely is. This is one of those super dumb things to say out loud, but like there's so much strategy to it. Like
yeah.
realizing where you need to be. Like our friend Hector, who also hasn't really ever played games of this capacity. I remember we were playing the other night, and we said like you can't be in the mix when you're a healer. Like you have to be on the outside. And it's something that you learn. And really one of the only reasons I probably even know that is just because
Hmm.
I have been playing with you all for a while. But yeah, I really like being a healer. I love Loki. I'm like a maximalist. No, that's not the right word. I like to be able to do a lot, even in those
Mm,
situations. So characters that feel very limited in what they can do, like even though Doctor Strange is like a sub main for me for my tanks. I haven't really found my favorite tank. I think I'm starting to like Penny Parker. I just need to get her a little bit better. Like in terms of taking advantage of how crazy good she can be. Um,
mm,
but I use Doctor Strange as a tool, like
yeah.
a helpful tool when we know what we're doing. Um, Healers, I love Loki. I also love Cloak and Dagger. I'm obsessed with Cloak. I do not have the speed and uh, ease of switching back and forth that Shauna has. It's fucking wild watching you switch back and forth. Um, but yeah, I think I really like being a healer. For my DPS, unfortunately, True Believers, I don't particularly care for playing as Storm. She's wildly disappointing. Like, she's a
I
great utilitarian character for some parts, but like it's whack how little she's an Omega level mutant, and her two
We've heard
biggest
the theme
attributes.
song.
You've
Like,
heard the theme song. She's the first, and canonically in the MCU, the first mutant to be referred to as an Omega level mutant on screen. Because the other time that they talk about Omega level mutants is in, I think, Dark Phoenix, and maybe not even.
I don't
The
even know
first
that they
Dark
did.
Phoenix. I remember them talking about ranking mutants in
Mm,
The Last Stand, not Dark Phoenix.
okay, okay.
The Dark Phoenix saga as The Last Stand. Anyways, the Storm is just she's not even really DPS. Like you might as well just make her a support. Like her
I think
biggest
she
things are
plays
her
more like a. Gosh,
she doesn't do
honestly though,
damage.
I think making her a support that doesn't heal is
It's
actually
so
much
whack.
more. Yeah, no, but I think that is much. I think she would be better if they tuned her kit to be more in that vein, or they need to up her
Attack
damage
based.
more and make her more
Yeah.
of a sniper because I feel like she
Like,
just quite doesn't. She should play more like Namor does, who's kind of a like kind of mid-range
yes.
snipey, like
Yes.
because like that's where like I've liked Namor, like he has turrets. I think that like
I need to play
again,
some
like
more.
she could also have like turrets with like basically like rain clouds or
Why?
storm
Yeah,
clouds.
why
Like
can't she make like little, you know,
yeah,
why can't she change the weather? Why can't she have, 5 lightning strikes that come down in a radius? Like,
she could slow down the other team just as she speeds up the your team. I but that's what things
yeah,
I
why
would
aren't
do.
pay us money, whichever
Hmm.
company, Marvel Games.
Uh,
Pay your
yeah,
actual game developers. Like, we're obviously, please
yeah,
continue to pay them and pay them better. Okay,
but yeah.
so I like my other DPS is Moon Knight and Scarlet Witch and Punisher.
Scarlet
I'm a
Witch has been
projectile
really
girly.
fun.
I really enjoy Scarlet Witch.
I do too.
It's sorry, Uxmal. That's his main. Like, there was a period of time where I just wouldn't play as her, but where no one was allowed
Yeah,
to
we
play
did
as
kind
her.
of have a deferential respect around Scarlet Witch there for a
Yes,
minute, where we wouldn't even
exactly.
play
And
as her
Storm
when it
too.
wasn't
I
with us.
think I got
Yeah,
I got
but
the
that was a
same
lot
first
easier
right of
because Storm
refusal.
was
Yeah,
very yeah, like you're
yeah,
yes, but also then it didn't help that when we're like we would then like when we started to kind of break that seal for both of those characters,
yes,
it was like,
yes.
oh, actually, maybe we will keep trying Scarlet Witch sometimes, but Storm's
Agreed.
cool. Which
Yeah,
is such a
Storm's fine.
shame, like, and I really do hope that I think that's my prediction for whenever they season 2. I'm
Patch
guessing
it.
it'll come out for their, like, official season 1 is when they're gonna
Oh
come
yeah,
out with
when
the
is that
first
supposed to
patch.
happen?
I think this one's only, like, a month long, so I think it runs through,
The end of the
like,
year.
maybe sometime in January, and then, like,
Cool.
I think it's probably gonna switch over.
Um. Okay, so our other. Oh, this is I. So our guest Jamila, when I asked her what her favorite nerd moment of the year was, or like, top 2024 moments, her response was, can Megan the Stallion's bomb ass year count? And I said, yes, all caps,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
She did have a great
Because
year.
she had a great fucking year. She had a great year. I have been a Megan Thee Stallion fan for a number of years, and just watching her progress into, sort of mainstream hip hop and then like front page hip hop, like to be a dominating force in rap is just really, really great because first of all, she is the namesake. So if you don't understand the reference, um, Megan Thee Stallion, one of her tags in her songs is real hot girl shit. And it's also the tongue out going, ah. Uh, and a long time ago, I started referring to things as real hot nerd shit. And then it became the name of a group chat. And then it became the name of this podcast. And then I finally found the person to do it with, or the people to do it with. Shout out to the unaired pilot episode with Ryan. Um, but that's our namesake is after Megan the Stallion. So the fact that she had a great year, including this podcast being born, is remarkable. We
And I'm
love
sure
that for
she
her.
when Megan Thee Stallion looks back at her year, I'm sure she thinks about this podcast and her
Yes.
part that she played in it is one of her favorite parts too. I can only imagine. So,
Look, I am a powerful fucking witch. I'm speaking it into the universe. She'll find out. And she'll come on this shit. All I gotta do is slide in one I just gotta slide in the right DM, or the right person's gotta get tagged.
not the
So
truth.
if you are a person that has music connections or something, do you know how happy I would be specifically if Megan the Stallion even just recorded an audio bite of her saying real hot nerd shit? I would actually make it my ringtone. I would make it my doorbell
You'd
sound.
even use ringtones. That's how much it would be important. Like,
Exactly.
you would have your phone would make noise in the year 2025. That's a big deal. We can't discount that.
We
Like,
cannot discount the importance of me turning my phone off vibrate. Are you kidding? Yeah, it makes me really happy. I've always loved rap and always loved hip hop. But again, I didn't get the exposure to women rappers that I wish I would have in my formative years. I'll always be a pop girly, but the fact
mhm.
that genres like barely exist anymore, like unless you are deep, deep in one specific thing, genre blending is the norm, I guess. Which is, commentary on Beyonce, which we will talk about perhaps as a segue from this. But um, Megan's album, Megan, uh, was one of my top five favorite albums of the year. Um, Seeing her just really become sort of like a pop culture staple has been really cool. She hosted the VMAs, which I guess is like not that big of a deal, but well, it is a really big deal, but it's not that big of a deal to like people that aren't millennials. But it did create a lot of great online content. But the thing that is arguably the most important is that she got her master's. So in many, and Ryan would probably be a much better person um, to describe this, but I hope I do him justice. So many
I
artists
really
are
just
in
want him to be
con.
our producer. Like, I think he's the one that I always
Oh
think of when I'm
yeah.
like, who should be our producer? Who's like also like here, like we could just like cut to and could do the like
Oh my god,
the
I
like.
bet he would absolutely do that. We should
I
talk to
think
him
it
about
would.
that.
We should talk. Actually, yeah. Speaking of manifesting things, that's a good
Exactly.
like.
So you're basically owning the rights to your song. So like even if you uh So owning the rights to your masters is basically owning the right to your music, like and what is done with your music and how it is like recreated and how it is credited. Most artists are not in recording contracts where they own their masters. They do not get to decide what happens to their music. And I mean, in some cases, you might have cool record labels. I can't imagine many are cool, but like to be able to um unabat or like unbound do whatever you want to do with your music, and also I know there's a financial part to it, like where they actually are getting paid the appropriate amount for how much they work, in a lot of cases. That's what Taylor Swift was doing when she releases all of her Taylor's version, is she is re-releasing her songs I believe as her masters. And Megan is the first rapper to own her masters, at least the first female rapper to own her masters. I don't really think about boy rap. I would say that Kendrick Lamar's GNX is. I would put that in my top five, but unfortunately, Sabrina Carpenter also exists. So sorry, Kendrick Lamar. I'm a Sabrina girl. Um,
Sabrina did have a really great year too.
she had a
Like
great
in a
year.
like
I am getting a
a
little bit
great month.
tired of the shtick, if I'm being honest. Have you
Interesting.
seen her
Like,
hair oil commercial? That's like to keep a good bang, because she has like a little bang. To keep a good bang, I use blah 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 because you always want. It's like, all right, girl, we get it. You fuck like it's your thing. Cool, cute,
you
love
know
it.
what? And to be fair, I am
You're the
excited
next.
for that Sabrina Carpenter Christmas special. I think that
Yeah, we
is
have to
like
figure out a time to watch it.
I would love to watch that. That sounds delightful. That's
Yes.
things speaking of things that were never in my like what I thought would be my purview. Like
Yeah.
your video games is me like, no, I
Hmm.
do want to watch the Sabrina Carpenter musical special. That is my like that is where I feel very like
Yeah.
my like but like getting to share the things we love is such
True.
a important part and like and
Um,
finding the joy in what getting to see that through the lens of your friends is such an easy way to find appreciation for things you might not have had previously.
Agreed. It's the humanity of it all. It's this
Hmm.
person that I know cares about this thing, so it must have some value. Um, but Yeah, so kind of tying a couple of thoughts together. I was talking about Kendrick. His album is remarkable. It's made its way onto my playlist. He has also had a banner fucking year, including the Kendrick and Drake beef, which
Ugh.
again, as a person who doesn't listen to boy rap, I was like, oh my god, they're being so messy. The girls are fighting. Azalea Banks gif. The girls are fighting. Um, and ultimately Kendrick won, like no questions asked. But he also is. It's great to see that people are talking about Drake being a fucking gross predator, and it's not the last time we'll talk about accusations of being a sexual predator, but either on this episode or in real life. But yeah, it was kind of like watching someone get just desserts. Like, don't start fights you can't win, girl. And also, Kendrick Lamar's a Nobel Prize. Did he win a Nobel Prize? No, he won the writing award, not a Peabody Award. We deserve to put some respect on this. What award? Not the Grammys. Um,
Yeah, shout out to search function being completely broken on the
Pulitzer
internet.
Prize.
Yeah.
He's a Pulitzer Prize winning
Hmm.
artist. And you are Aubrey Graham from fucking Degrassi. Um,
Jimmy.
so Jimmy, yes, which I did not watch. Were you a Degrassi
I
girl?
didn't know, but Kelly was, and so
Okay.
I know that he's Jimmy because she
Yeah, I
loves
never.
Degrassi.
It would be on when I was getting ready for school in the morning, but it never stuck.
Never was my messed up.
Overall, though, I would say it was a great year for music, specifically pop music.
Ugh.
It was a really good year. We've already said Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet's a really fun, cute album. Her Christmas special looks adorable, which reminded me that Casey Musgraves also has a Christmas special, which is also kind of cute and adorable. Um, but she released an album at the beginning of this year that I couldn't handle. I think I listened to it once. It's way too sad, like in a bad
Oh,
way. Eternal Sunshine is sad in a good way for me. Eternal Sunshine
okay.
from Ariana Grande is like uh, probably number two, if not one
Interesting.
A for the year for me under Cowboy Carter. Um, it has a lot of it's a concept album around the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I
great
know.
film, great film. I haven't watched it since high school, but it stuck with me. Like the whole premise, if you've never seen it, is erasing someone from your mind. Like you can erase a person from your mind
Interesting.
to remove all the pain. So it's like the central characters are Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, and they break up, and I think one of them erases one of the other one. I think Jim Carrey erases her from his memory, and then romance, etc. I don't really remember the rest of the film, but that's the concept of the album, and it very much so served a purpose for me going through the early parts of like my formal divorce. Like I got divorced in November. The first song from this album came out in January, and the album came out in March. Yes, and actually came out the day that I was driving to Michigan for that kink drawing class. And it was that awful snowstorm, Martin
Oh,
Luther King Jr. weekend. It was one of the first moments in my life where
that
I was
was when
like,
I was in, or wait, or the January one.
yeah, in January.
Yeah, because that was where I was in Vegas, and I remember, like, people's flights, like, got canceled
Yes.
and they didn't
Oh,
make it
right.
because that was where I was that weekend.
Oh my God. Also, the other like major flight cancellation thing that happened this year, when the security company failed or whatever, and all the flights
Oh
went
my
like all
gosh,
the flight
during Stonewall Nationals? Yeah.
Stonewall Nationals. Basically, the
Yeah,
the world was saying stop traveling for sports, you homosexuals.
yeah, especially gay sports, yeah, the
Yeah,
gay sports cut that shit out, and we're like, "Go
cut
fuck
that shit
yourself,
out.
we're gonna keep gay sportsing. We're gonna gay
Yeah,
sports even harder."
we're gonna get. Yeah, we are.
Speaking of gay
Um,
sports, I've got my hot to throw, like, you can kinda see it, like on my water bottle. Yeah,
I
Chapel
actually was gonna
Roan.
ask. I couldn't remember what our dodgeball team name is.
Oh, our dodgeball team name is Dodge the Witch's Throw.
Dodge the witch's throw. Yes, correct. Thank you so much. I did
Dodge,
forget.
dodge, dodge the
Dodge the
throw,
throw.
dodge the
Dodge the
witch's throw.
witch's throw.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be a great chant that we are going to do
Yeah.
communally, and I'm very excited for that because I love a good
Yes.
team chant. Yeah, my Hot to Throw is going to be my Sin City team. It was already my
Yes.
Chicago team, and
Yeah. All the Cleveland
I like
homosexuals
Kyler.
pulled out.
I borrowed it to I lent it to Kyler for this upcoming Stonewall season. So
Yes.
he
The
did ask my
Stonewall
permission.
girls had a lot of uh Chapel Roan themed uh team names for
Oh
Stonewall,
yeah,
both in kickball and dodgeball, including
like,
us.
we were good
Good
kick
kick
babe,
grade.
which is a great
Hmm.
name.
It was. We had a tough season ending, but that was a good part of 2024 was getting to play on a
It
kickball team
was,
together
and we played
again.
really well. Like our team was
Yeah.
very like we were very good, and it is a shame that we did not do well the one week, but we did so
Yes.
well in so many other weeks. So you know
Yes.
what? I'm that's just
It was a great
sometimes
season.
it was a great season. I had a lot of fun with it. We had a cool logo, cool
We
shirts.
did. Oh God, please don't get me started. Please don't mention the fucking shirts, Shauna. You know I'm still hot over it, but um,
You were hot in your shirt.
I
That's
was
a great
hot.
point, and we're
I
just gonna move
shut up.
right
You're
past
stupid.
that.
You're stupid.
Yeah.
So other things related to music. Um, Eternal Sunshine. So the last thing, there's a couple of songs on there. Yes, and I was saying it came out. I listened to it the entire drive to Michigan. It
Ah,
was on repeat. I took
oh,
several nudes
I love
in the
that.
shady sex worker hotel that I stayed at, unrelated to the fact that I was there for a kink drawing contest. It was fully a hotel explicitly for sex workers. It was like right next to a strip club, and there was two like pillows that were like this thick. Like they were there was plastic on the bed under the
Oh,
sheets. It was you were not encouraged to sleep there. I had arguably one of the worst nights of sleep of my life. I could not wait to get out of
oh
that
God,
fucking
I hate
hotel.
that is I
It
stayed
was awful.
somewhere for dodgeball that felt very similar, and it was like
Yeah,
we were like, where what discount place did you get? Like to say
correct.
like you're like, no, everyone, I have the hotel covered for us all. Like I got it all booked. And then we
Right.
got there and we're like,
No, you
this is
didn't.
hotel is a broad like
Right.
yeah.
This is a rest stop, uh, and no one's trying to rest. But yeah, so Eternal Sunshine, just really, really great. The album, there's a couple of songs. I Wish I Hated You. I really still can't get through without tearing up. First of all,
Mm.
because she actually starts crying on the song, like you can hear where her voice catches. And the whole thing is about like I just you did nothing wrong. I wish I could hate you. Like it would be so much easier if you treated me badly and made me hate you, but I don't. And actually, I don't want to. It would just be easier. Bitch, the first time I listened to it, I was like, come on, girl. How could you do this to me? How could you make and it's so beautiful. The way that her music has changed over the years, like it's got this like sort of lightness to it that I don't know, I'll send it to you. I'm obsessed with it. It's one of my favorite songs. Um but my number one Spotify song was Yes and the rest was Cowboy Carter. What a fun year to be a black country fan. Like I liked country growing up. I like quiet as it's kept. You know, I was raised by a bunch of white folks in the southwest suburbs. Like we were not take your tractor to school, but we were like people had acres of land. Like there was big spaces between houses. Like we were rural adjacent. I believe we're actually
I
like
always like
exurb.
subrural is like
Yeah.
the term
So
that I think
rural
of because that was very much
isn't
where I
that
was raised in. I was very like
isn't it technically an exurb where you're like external of
Um,
a suburb. I don't know, whatever. It
yeah,
doesn't
where
matter.
it's
We both
yeah,
know what
because
we're
it's
talking about.
the yeah. Yeah, and, like, but that's where like, I never was big into country either, like, the
Hmm.
closest I got was, like, Southern rock, which is very but,
Sure.
like, they feel like there's, like, an element there. But, I mean,
Hmm.
the two of my favorite I saw some really my number 1 artist, Ashnikko, I got to see her and
Yes.
I think actually her I think they might be them, actually. But either way, I got to
Sure.
see Ashnikko in concert, which
Hmm.
was amazing, such a fun
Hmm.
getting to see Chapel Roan right before when she was blowing up, right before she
Yes.
just blew up was such a great like,
Yes.
it was when I was like it was when I knew that we were in because I knew we were in a gay moment, but when I
Yes.
realized we were in a moment was
Yes.
so it was waiting outside the line at it was at the Nautica
Nautica.
Pavilion, and it was just sea of pink and camo because we were the Midwest Princess theme. And so
Yes.
that was because there was a style guide, and I love that
There
each
was a
concert had a
style
style.
guide.
Yeah, she put out every like 4 or 5 concerts had like would have one theme. There were like 6 themes in total, and so it could have been like My Kink is Karma, or it could have been Pink Pony Club,
Sure.
or one was like mermaidy. But we had
Sure.
Midwest Princess, which
Of
was pink and
course.
camo, and like
Yeah, it
is
was
why I have my favorite
definitely
camo shorts. I didn't realize I looked good in camo because it was like this is clear, and I was like, dang
yeah.
it, I do, and it
Camo is
looks
not
very
for
good with
me.
pink.
Turns out it is.
Yeah,
Um,
but Orville
yeah,
Peck.
the and then
I
Orville
saw
Peck,
that
right?
because then I saw that
The
and getting to see a gay cowboy was wonderful, and he was so
yes,
delightful, he's such a great singer, his band was wonderful, like, it was just a really
yes.
cool moment.
When I almost got to go see Orville Peck, but I wasn't able to.
Mm,
But I've never listened to I've listened to maybe two of his songs once. But
wow,
I've
okay.
always liked country music, especially women
Yeah.
country. I
Mm,
loved uh the girls in the 90s, Shania Twain, Faith Hill,
oh,
Reba. Like I loved women country. And so
Carrie
I
Underwood, like, I still
Carrie
that is such a
early 2000s, but like I'm
yeah.
talking the
Okay,
mid
okay.
90s, let's go girls. Bitch, Shania Twain's Up. That album,
Mm,
please. Homosexual moment in history. I my all girl friends that I had when I was younger, they had a bunch of dresses. One of them, and they like did fashion shows, and I was the stage manager. And one of the fashion shows was to Shania Twain's Up. I believe that's the name
mm,
of the album. And they just came out in different dresses to different
God.
shows. But yeah, so Beyonce once again changed the fucking game and made this incredible country album
It's really
that
good.
it's so good. It blends every
So good.
genre and it makes me want to just like argue with country fans. Like I just want to sit down and like, play fucking Texas Hold'em, or 16 karat, like I mean obviously those are singles, but like any of those songs and be like, so you're going to say this isn't country? You're going to say Levi's jeans isn't country? Why am I only thinking of like the super popular ones? What the fuck is wrong with me? You're going to listen to any of these songs and say it's not country? You're out of your fucking mind. And it's because she's a black woman. But what a great moment for just progressive music and for black folks and for Beyonce and for Beyonce fans. It was a
Mm,
great moment for Beyonce fans. A not so great moment has been the fucking accusations against Jay-Z, which we sort of said we would talk about, but
like, I
I
think we
just
should because I think we should give that time and space because I don't think we should
yeah,
rush
I
through
need to
it.
hear
And
more.
but also like
Yeah.
we would be
It's
remiss if we
believed
didn't also bring up the
survivors.
fact that it's yeah.
Yes. It's always believe survivors. Period. And there are always external contexts that makes me look at things that we all should critically analyze
Mm,
information, but with our right fucking brain and operating from the idea that people don't just make up sexual assault accusations. So like
right.
I believe that this person was assaulted because they said they were, and people, it's like, what, 4% of, some super low percentage of um, sexual violence accusations are made intentionally inaccurately. Um, but I don't think that this is one of these cases. I don't believe that people, are motivated in that kind of way. So I do believe that this woman was assaulted, a young
Um,
girl at the time. But I hope it wasn't Jay Z. I really hope, because a lot of people have pointed to previous behavior, um, that was even all the way to like how old they were when they met. But again, that's a conversation that I'm willing to have about you know the power dynamics at play between these two people and her very overly involved family. Anyways,
No,
it's
but to be a fan is to, and this is what we've
yes,
talked about for so is to how have to deal with, because it is not just about any one person. It is about a pervasive culture, and it often comes with
yes,
power and the
yes,
abuses that then there come from that. And to be a fan of anything is to know that the person who made it could potentially be terrible for any number of reasons.
right,
And how do we weigh that then as fans and as, participants in culture? And again, that's something that we have talked about consistently and are going to continue to talk about,
yes.
because
One could say ad
you
nauseum.
can't head in the sand it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and we refuse to. Um, and again, if it is true about him, I also am, a thoughtful enough person to realize that like that does not necessarily involve her in any way, and in fact, I am inclined to buck up and get even more defensive because people will find any excuse to disrespect her, and it's just, and her talent and her hard work. Um, the last thing that I want to talk about more before we wrap up, Wicked, which we did already talk about, was one of the other things that people
So
mentioned
good.
as their top nerd things of the year. You already talked about, we kind of already talked about the musicalness of it, but really, again, what a great experience.
What a great experience, and getting to see it and getting to see so many of everyone who really loves it and gets and
Hmm.
enjoy, like, and to find a love in it that I just truly didn't know was possible, that for
Yeah.
me, for like musicals, and now it makes me want to go deeper and find other ones, which is going to make, people like my girlfriend Kelly very happy, as she's helping me plugging in the computer literally next to me because she's a sweetheart. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Ignore the hand that just appeared.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so just other pop culture moments worth mentioning. Um, uh, Echo was apparently released this year. I fully forgot that that was this year.
Well,
Did you
oh
watch Echo?
God, I started watching it, but then just was like, Um, like, because
It
I
didn't catch.
remember I liked her from the Brian Michael Bendis Daredevil comics,
Sure.
and that was where I was excited. I'm still excited about the character, but I realized it wasn't as a lot of Marvel projects. So I've been making my way through. I am almost done with season 1 of Loki. I was like,
Work.
"Oh, neat! That creature in Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and
Yes.
Wolverine, is from this. I know
Yes.
that now.
Now you
Cool."
do. That's a
Like,
great episode too.
it is. It's a really fun, like, yeah, but I've been making I watched The Marvels, like, which was a
Yes.
great movie. I've been really
Deserves more
enjoying, and that's
respect.
absolutely, gosh, and that's where so many, you know, gr so many superheroes, so many female-led, so many queer-led, so many people of color-led superhero and TV shows generally are getting axed, and that's one of my
Mhm.
least favorite moments of 2024.
Yes.
But I think in not getting their flowers like the Marvels should have, because at the end of the
Yep.
day, there's just far too much of a willingness to cut those down.
Yeah, and the Marvels also had, it was, I don't want to say doomed from the onset because I don't believe it was. I think
I
it really suffered from the strike. Like it came out, it was released during like the strike. It got no
when
promo. They weren't allowed to promo it. The SAG strike, it was the act, yeah.
Oh, it was
Um
doomed from the start.
yes, it was
Between
also
that
doomed from the start.
and the
The
fact
writers the
that it
strike,
was
yeah.
the writer's strike, and the fact that a certain population is going to be very vocal about how much they dislike it because of what it is and who it
Exactly.
stars. Because they didn't like Brie Larson going back to her first foray as Captain Marvel, and so they were
Correct.
already going to be inherently harder on it, regardless of what movie. It could be the best movie ever, and they would still be hard on it because it's not
Yep.
actually about the movie; it's about their own prejudice that they bring to the situation.
Amen. And, it's led by a woman that they said that they didn't like, and then it was co-starred by a black woman and a brown girl, and like a Southeast Asian brown
Hmm.
girl. So yeah, it was doomed from the start in a lot of ways. Other really important, worthwhile mentions. Bummer that we didn't get to do X-Men 97 for this podcast because great, great nerd
God,
moments.
I
What a fucking joy.
and I think a real inspiration in a lot of ways for like think where really inspiring my love of kind of Marvel. Like it really
Mhm.
reignited that, and like I've always been a fan and I've always enjoyed like the MCU and all of that, but it really kind of got like really encouraged me to go 2 feet in and like
Yeah,
and I so can't wait for more. I love the X-Men, and getting to
same.
see them done so well is such wonderful. I'm so excited.
I think I'm gonna rewatch it over break, like
Mm,
when I'm taking these couple weeks off, and I am really excited to rewatch it. But yeah, X Men has always been my in. We had a whole episode about it, but shame that we didn't get to watch it in real time. So hopefully we do it for season two.
mhm.
The Brother's Son was this year, also a phenomenal show, featuring what is the like critically acclaimed actor's name, that plays Madame Morrible in Wicked.
Oh,
Um,
wait, no, now I'm like,
yeah, but please don't say the wrong Asian woman. That's like that's
not
my
absolutely not
fear.
going to.
Yeah,
Nope, that is like, nope.
Madame Morrible, um, uh, movie. Why is it so? Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh plays the mothers of the brother's son and it's just incredible. It's an awesome martial arts show. If you haven't
Interesting.
watched it, check it out. Um,
Okay.
I did watch Owl House per Shauna's recommendation, and it is everything that she said it would be. It's all the best parts of Harry Potter without any of the awful transphobia, and
An
actually
actual
pro
queerness.
queer, pro trans, like pro brown. If you are looking for something to scratch that itch, Owl House is it. It's just because, again, if I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't believe that cartoons are for kids. But like, just because it's a cartoon doesn't mean it's not extremely relevant or like uh, positive or good or whatever. Like, definitely check out Owl House. Um,
Hmm.
and Mean Girls the movie the musical, was really really fun. And you're to the People's Joker and Chasing Amy.
Yeah,
You want to touch
great
on
year for
them?
and I saw the TV Glow, which I still have not seen, like
Same.
on the but like a great year for transmedia, like even when other moments like the Moon Girl episode, and then Disney just today came out with the fact that they pulled a plot line slash character from one of their upcoming movies. Yeah,
What?
like I would have to look it up the specifics, but like they literally got a teenage trans girl to voice this character. Like she just turned 18 now and like was giving representation. And they're like, well, they pulled the like, we think parents should be the ones to introduce to these things
Get the fuck
because we
out of
are
here. For
where
what
gay people
property?
were 15 years ago of some
Right.
upcoming movie. But that's ultimately where it is the same way that it was we don't talk
Yeah.
about gay people, they want to make trans people on the
Yeah.
outside. But you know what? We're not going anywhere, and we are community. We are in your communities. We are people just living our lives, and we deserve to see each other in media just as much as you do, even if you don't like it.
Which is a perfect segue, I think, to wrap it up and do the love off. You were just touching on it. It's been a very hard year for trans people. It's been a very hard year for Black people. It's been a hard life for both of those identities, and um, to find a relationship with a person who shares so many interests and then also has this sort of common human understanding of what it's like to live under the thumb of oppression and refuse to let it define you or take away what makes you happy, and in fact to charge into it, is a really, really, beautiful, wonderful thing. And I'm really grateful for how close that we've gotten this year, and for you helping me bring like something that I've wanted to do for so long to life. It is a one, in the larger sense, it's a reminder to everyone that like it's a shared struggle. Like if you don't see it in other people, then you don't get to see it for yourself. We're all fighting the same fucking battle. But two, who cares about all of that? Like make things with people that you love, because you make good things then. And I think the fact that we have so much fucking fun doing this, and have blossomed like a whole relationship out of our shared nerddom. Like, I'm just really grateful for it. And so I freaking love you, man.
I
Well,
love you
lady,
too.
but
Like, I get what I know what you
yeah.
mean.
Gender
I
neutral
love,
Midwest
yeah, yeah.
stoner
Look,
man.
I love a good Midwest dude, and it is my like one thing
Exactly.
that like segue
Our
of the like
toxic
I will,
masculine traits.
yeah,
Everybody's a
right,
dude.
like, well, and it's the is every not every use of dude is gender neutral. Like, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
do you fuck
Yes.
dudes is a gendered question, but oh,
Yes.
dude, I know is a
Yes.
neutral interjection that is not
Well
calling
done.
you a dude, but it is speaking
Yes.
to the
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. So I
That is
love
my
you.
that is always my like personal is like it yes, but it depends, but also you're well if it personally bothers a person, that is
Yes.
also
I
just
will
as
not call you
valid.
dude. Yes.
Right. Yeah, that is also valid too. Like both perspectives are valid is my perspective. But
Exactly. Exactly.
anyways, but either way, I completely agree. I've so appreciated getting to know you better and to get to see just how much that when we didn't even realize that we shared, that we
Hmm.
share in so many different ways. It's just been wonderful, and I'm so excited for to see that continued growth in 2025 and blossoming in both this output and also just in general as we explore all of these wonderful things together in this world. So thank
Yes.
you and love and appreciate you too.
So tell your friends you love them. Tell your family that you choose you love them.
It's true.
Remember, first of all, it's all made up. Do whatever the fuck you want to. Do literally whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting someone, and as long as it's not tacky. But
Or even if you are hurting them, as long as it's consensual.
consensual, correct. Great point,
Yeah.
great consideration. But yeah, this is a labor of love that's not so laborious, despite the fact that there are going to be, I'm going to have to edit this and blah blah blah.
Splice multiple videos together,
Yeah,
ignoring
exactly.
certain
Like
parts of
that part
like
is laborious, but
yeah.
thankfully I'm off for 2 weeks starting on Monday. But thank you to the people that have been listening and who have been asking about it and sharing our stuff. It's a few. It's proud, but I think that we have created something wonderful. And even if it's just for us, who fucking cares? But Megan the Stallion, if you want to come on, we're open to it. Okay. Oh, we'll be picking back up in 2025. The reason we're doing a very special episode is because it's right around the holidays, and trying to schedule with another guest is always tougher. It's tough enough for two people. But we will be picking back up at the top of 2025 in our continued theme of What's Your Fantasy? I believe we are in a good space to say that they will be about Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
And then we will be pivoting into a different type of fantasy with either 50 Shades or The Secretary, to be determined. But stay tuned. Can't wait to share that stuff with you all. Keep it nerdy. Be nice to each other.
It's true.
Bye.